Welcome to another episode of the Live Your Yes Life podcast. My name is Lisa Limata, and I will be your host for today. So I just got back from Santa Fe. Kayla and I spent several days there along with an incredible, amazing group of women. We hosted a retreat, and we do a few different styles of retreats, but this one in particular we call a vacation with a purpose. And really, what we do is we take these group of women with the intention to connect, with the intention to be in a place where we really can just unplug from life and allow ourselves to be supported by the land, to have new experiences, to be in deep connection with each other. So it's not a retreat where we come and learn or we're teaching something. We do a bit of coaching as we go along, in a sense. But I love these retreats so much because I feel sometimes when we go without a particular agenda, there is a way that life meets us with exactly what we need. And it was amazing. If you've not ever been to Santa Fe, I highly recommend it. This was actually my first time there. I had never been before. We did a bit of everything. We hiked, we did some horseback riding, we did a sunset train ride, we made pottery, we went to some museums. Had amazing meals. We just did as much as we could in a few days. And of course, wrapped in all of that were these beautiful conversations and connections and laughter and tears and like all of the things that happen when you bring an incredible group of people together with the intention to connect, to reconnect to yourself in that sense as well. Kayla and I always go a few days early to set everything up. And for this retreat, I had found out about a week or so before that I was going to have to go a little bit later. So I actually arrived the same day as all of our guests. It's a long story. Our dog hasn't been feeling well, and I had to take him to a specialist. So I had to rearrange my plans a bit. So at any rate, I arrived the same day as the guests. And one of the reasons I wanted to go early is I know that I am pretty sensitive to high altitudes, and Santa Fe is really a quite high altitude. And I was a little bit worried that I might get some altitude sickness, that I'd want to give myself a few days to adjust. And I decided got to go with it. It is what it is. I'm trusting the whole process. And I was fine, the night that we got there, had dinner, kind of made it an early night. But the next morning, we got up, and while we were having breakfast, I suddenly was not feeling well. So if you've ever had altitude sickness, you'll probably relate. Just a bit short of breath. I was having some heart palpitations and, just really was feeling kind of lightheaded. I had a terrible headache, woke up with a migraine that morning, and I knew it was altitude sickness. So as you can imagine, I was so well supported by this amazing group of women. And I really felt like as I thought about what unfolded in this process, I was feeling like this is such a beautiful metaphor for the formula that I teach my clients. The way that this unfolded is the exact methodology of what I teach my one-on-one clients when I want to help them really get present and create more space in their life. So I'm going to explain to you how these two stories actually intersect. As I thought about it, I was like, well, how perfect, right? How perfect when we actually just surrender to what is. So I just kind of shared like, I'm not really feeling good over breakfast. And of course, these women jumped in, as I said, to support. One woman there is an incredible massage therapist, and she was able to just do a few things to help alleviate my headache. And someone else jumped in with some aspirin, and another person jumped in who really helped me connect to my body. And one of the things she said to me in that moment, because I know what was happening, is I started to sort of future trip. The moment I was having symptoms, I was like, oh no, it's happening again. I knew this was going to happen, right? You know what our mind does, right? It makes up a whole story and creates a bunch of meaning around it. And I could feel myself going there because I didn't want to miss a moment of what was unfolding. And so this beautiful woman, her name was Lisa, she actually does energy work and breath work. She just sat with me for a moment, and she reminded me to just surrender to the process, right? To just really be in the flow of allowing my body to do what it needed to do. This reminder of the perfection of our bodies. Our bodies know how to heal. Our bodies know exactly what they need. So when we have symptoms, it is actually an expression of our body doing what it needs to do to adjust. And I know this, but in that moment, of course, I wasn't thinking in those terms at all, right? So she helped me actually relax and surrender into this moment and allow my body to have whatever experience it was having and then connect to my breath. And it was it was probably a 3 minute, maybe a 5 minute breath work practice that she took me through just right there sitting at the breakfast table that I could immediately feel things start to shift because I was back in my body, right? And I was trusting my body. I was trusting that my body knew exactly what it needed, that it was reacting the way it needed to. And I could lean back into this space of presence and trust. And that literally shifted everything for me. So we were going on a hike next, and quite a few people said, "Hey, maybe you shouldn't go on the hike. It's probably not a good idea." And I know it's not. Any expert will tell you if you're having any altitude sickness, the last thing you should do is go on a hike. You should rest, right? But at that point, I was fully back in my body. And we had planned a really gentle hike because it was the first day. We wanted to schedule it later in the trip, but it just, based on everything, we couldn't get it to work out that way. So we had planned a really gentle hike. We had rented some cars. The drivers were going to be there. So we knew, we had support right there. We had all the steps in place. And I just trusted myself. Like when I really tuned in and listened to my body and listened to my intuition, I knew that what I actually needed was to get on the trail, was to get connected to Mother Earth, was to breathe the fresh air, and just to really let myself connect with the energy of Santa Fe. And so that's what I did. And I ended up being fine. I did take it really slower than I probably normally would, and had the most amazing, incredible experience, beautiful views, incredible conversations. I'm so glad that I didn't skip that. And so we went and did that. The next thing we did was had lunch and then went to the hot springs. So I was able to just sit in the mineral water and just let myself be fully supported in that moment. And it really set the tone for the rest of the trip. And again, this trip was all about creating space, creating time. So even though Kayla and I are supporting on this trip, I feel like I received so much. And as I was just kind of reflecting on this today, I was thinking about how much this is a metaphor for life, for what we need to do, because all of us right now are actually in a space of adjusting to a higher frequency or a higher elevation, if you will. It's no surprise to you that the world is a bit crazy. I've been having a lot of conversations with people who have expressed to me their desire to unplug from it all. The exhaustion over the conversations on social media, the way the world seems to be headed, and even, most of my clients are in business. This sort of feeling of like, okay, everything is different now, right? What we were doing even a year ago in marketing isn't the same thing that we need to be doing today because of AI, the way that social media, the algorithms are changing. And I think people feel a bit of disorientation, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I think that, each one of us are stepping into this expansion. And if you're listening to me, you probably have a pretty big calling on your life. You're probably connected to your purpose, or you're really, that that's the next place that you're getting connected to. And so the work that you do, you expanding into this higher frequency, is really important. It doesn't matter what your career is. You don't have to be a spiritual leader for this to matter. It's the fact that you are grounding these points on the earth and you are making a difference for the people around you. And those of us that can hold this frequency, that can hold this higher space, it is for a purpose and it is for a reason. Something really interesting about this trip with this particular group of women at a time when the political landscape seems to be so divided, right? People are so emotional and there's been so much happening. I happen to know, because I know a lot of the women in this group intimately, that there were women on this trip on completely opposite sides of the political spectrum. There are people who were on the right and who were on the left, and it didn't matter. We didn't talk about politics. We talked about the things that we have in common, right? We talked about the fact that we all really want the same things for our lives. We have big dreams and we love our families and our loved ones, and we want to make the world a better place. and we connected on what we had in common, which is way more than we didn't. And there was one point in the trip where I think we were just like walking to a destination. We're walking on the street in Santa Fe. And I had that moment of thinking, how amazing is it that I know how different, maybe some of our viewpoints on politics or on life can be. And yet we are this one beautiful, cohesive group supporting each other, learning from each other, having these deep, intimate conversations with each other. And that is what the world needs. It needs people who can really be grounded in the truth of who they are and who can also hold the truth of who the people are that walk beside them without judgment. And I think that at this time in history, at this point in time, we have got to be able to do this, right? We need to be able to do this to grow in business, in life. Some of you listening to this may have a spiritual calling on your heart, but some of you, it may not be that way at all. But I know that what we really need is to acclimate to this frequency that we're walking in. And if you can do this, if you're one of those people who you really are able to hold this space, to be in your truth, to hold the space for someone else to be in their truth, even if it's different, you are operating at a higher frequency than much of our planet, than probably even most of our planet. And you might be feeling the altitude sickness of that, so to speak. You might be feeling at times disoriented. You might be feeling exhausted. You might be feeling like your body is just not keeping up with the growth that you're having and where you're going. And I really think it's by design. And I think that you can learn from the steps that I took. I'm going to actually teach you one of my methodologies that I teach my clients right now. And you can actually acclimate this. So if you have been feeling your own version of altitude sickness, and I don't mean physically that you're in a higher altitude, but it's your frequency, your energy, your vibration has shifted such that you're holding a higher space than a lot of people around you are holding. This is going to help you. So the first thing that you need to do, I'm actually going to give you a formula. There are 5 steps in this formula. So either, maybe you're listening to this on the go. If you're not, you might want to just grab a pen and write this down so that you can take yourself through this process. So if you're resonating with what I'm saying and you feel like, yeah, I really need some support because I do feel like I'm holding a lot at a higher frequency, the first thing you need to do is surrender. Okay, remember in the story when I told you the guidance that my friend Lisa gave me was to stop fighting my body's messages and actually to surrender to the perfection of my body, knowing exactly what it needs. So surrender to whatever you might be physically experiencing, because we are doing all of this in our human bodies, and our bodies are coming along for the ride, and we have to make sure that they are healthy and safe, and that we're not just spending so much time in our heads that we're leaving our body behind. It's our ally. So surrender to whatever your body is experiencing right now. This is really going to be something that helps you create space to rise into your next level. Where do you need to surrender? Are you having physical symptoms in your body? Maybe you're struggling to sleep. Maybe there's something going on hormonally, or, you've been not feeling well. What is it for you? And rather than trying to make your body wrong or immediately jump to, oh my gosh, something's wrong, it shouldn't be like this, surrender to your body. What if you could trust that your body is doing what it needs to do to calibrate? Perhaps it's trying to get your attention so that you'll give it what it needs. So that's step 1, is be in the surrender. And you can do this through body wisdom, right? It's communicating with you. What is it trying to communicate? What do you need? Your body might be asking you, and it probably is asking you for more space right now, especially if you're someone who saw the title of this and you're like, this is for me, right? So we've got to learn how to pause long enough to listen instead of just overriding and pushing from our minds. That's step 1. Step 2 is support. Okay, so think back to my story. I allowed myself to be supported by this beautiful group of women that I was there to be supporting, right? I could have had a whole story about, no, you can't support me. I'm supposed to be the leader here. I'm supposed to be supporting you. But I didn't in that moment, right? I was able to just allow myself to receive the support that was all around me. That's what we're all here to do anyway. We're here to support each other. And I was able to reconnect via allowing myself to have that support, right? Because expansion, integration, whatever you might be moving through, it is not meant to be done alone. There are so many of us in this together holding space for that expansion. So, in a way, when we allow ourselves to be supported, it's almost like it multiplies your energy. It multiplies the access to what you're able to do in order to create the space that you need to have. So, in real life, this might look like you hire the support of a health coach, or you see a doctor, or maybe it is like you hire a coach or a therapist, or you enlist the support of your significant other or your partner or your family or your best friend. Where is it that you really are craving to have some support right now? And can you give that to yourself? This will be one of the most important things that you can do. And having that support, so we surrender, we trust our body, it's exactly as it's meant to be, we don't make anything wrong. We lean back and allow ourselves to be supported. And then what we really need to do is we need to be able to trust our intuition. Okay. How do we do that? We connect. We connect with our breath. So, in my story, what I did by connecting to my breath was I allowed myself to get back into my body. And when I'm in my body, this is the most powerful place to access my intuition. So, step 3 is connect. Okay. And I want you to connect through your breath, connect through being present in this moment. And I highly, highly recommend that you have a meditation practice, even if you've never meditated before. I know a lot of you are probably like me when I started this journey, like, no, thank you. I am type A. I don't meditate. My mind races all over the place. If that's you, I want to invite you to consider, okay, so you just start with the breath, but start. You've got to connect. You've got to get into your body in order to be able to acclimatize to this higher frequency. Getting into this meditative practice, this breathwork practice, will sustain you so, so deeply. And it is so imperative for where we're going. I feel like, especially in this AI world where it's almost like hard to discern what's real and what's not real, the truth is, we have this beautiful built-in truth mechanism within us that we can connect to through our meditation, through our breath. So connect is step 3. And from here, you're going to tap your intuition. Sometimes I call this your higher self voice, your intuition, whatever you want to call it. It is the part of you that knows your truth. It knows what's right for you. Okay, so think back to my story. I know that the right advice was for me not to go on the hike. The right advice would have been to lay down, go back to the room, rest, let my body have a moment. But my intuition, my ability to access that inner voice, knew the truth is that actually I needed to get out into Mother Nature. I needed to go. I needed to be with these women. I needed to be present on that hike, and I would be okay. I knew it. And I trusted that intuition. In business, this can look like the right thing to do on paper is to take a client, but you know in your heart that client's not right. Or, maybe something looks really, really good on paper and it makes total sense, complete logic, you should take a step. But inside, you know that it's a no for you. When you start to do this practice consistently, you'll build that muscle where you'll just know and you'll trust it, even if it doesn't make sense. You don't even have to explain it to anyone else. But navigating in the way that we are moving into this new world, this ability to trust your higher self is everything. It's the reason why I don't do one size fits all coaching. It's the reason why I teach my clients how to access the voice of their higher self and how to follow it and how to trust it. It's one of the biggest things that we do together in our work together. So step 4 is your intuition. It's accessing intuition. And then the 5th and final step is action. Take action on your intuition's guidance. My intuition in that moment told me to go on the hike, and I followed it. If my intuition had told me to rest, I would have taken the action of rest. I would have trusted it, right? It's just follow it. It's take an action that is yours to take. Whatever your higher self, your intuition is teaching you, you want to back that up with action. When you are consistently using these 5 steps, it will help you create space in your life where you will suddenly have so much clarity. You're going to feel like you actually have room to breathe. And the thing is, like, having space right now is imperative. We are all taught to follow our calendars and we become slaves to our calendars. But your calendar does not hold wisdom, you do. And your energy, your mission needs space to create and to connect within. And so I just feel you guys are going to probably hear me talking about this a lot. We've got to have space. We've got to have room to just connect within ourselves. And I don't mean space to learn something or to do anything outside of yourself. We've got to have space to be present in our bodies with ourselves, trusting our intuition. It's one of the most powerful things that you can do, especially moving into this next 9-year cycle that we're stepping into. And, I think that the more you build this muscle, and here's the thing, you can do this in 10 minutes a day. This isn't about necessarily overhauling your whole life. You can do that if you want to, but you could start with just 10 minutes a day. That 10 minutes of space could exponentially create expansion and multiply that space in your life over and over again. So if you're someone who is really resonating with these words, if you know that, yeah, I am one of the people who is called to really hold this presence and hold this space as the world continues to shift and change, I want you to know that if you are someone who's seeking support, you can definitely reach out. And Kayla and I are happy to talk to you about the support that we provide. We support people in a variety of different ways, from one-on-one coaching to we have 2 different masterminds depending on what you're looking for. One is very specifically business. If you're wanting to grow this, our Elevate Mastermind is for people who are looking to grow and reach their first 100K year. We also have more. This is a mastermind for women who have already gone beyond that place and are really looking at expansion on multiple levels of their life. And we also have the Circle, which is our community where we support you to do the work I'm talking about today. It's deeply connecting to the truth of who you are. It's being able to release the old programming, shame, blame, guilt, feeling unworthy, anything that is holding you back from having the life you want or from having your yes life, as we say, and really allows you to have a space where you get to come home to you. You get to, I don't even want to use the word, I say work on you, but it's really not work. It's one of the greatest things that we can do is to come home to ourselves and to be able to heal and to release what is stopping us, as well as reprogram ourselves for success, for the life that we actually want to be living, what we would call your yes life. And it's not about just what can I get? It's about what is the most fulfilled version of my life, health, wealth, prosperity, relationships, all of these things. So you can reach out, let us know if you want more information. You can actually book a Yes Life activation call. This is a true coaching call. It's a 30-minute call with one of our coaches on our team, and you'll get coached. You'll get clear on like what's actually in the way of me having what I want. What is the next step? If it's appropriate, she'll share with you which one of our containers might be a good fit for you. And if it's not, she'll share some resources that you can tap into. This call is totally free. So take advantage of that if this is calling to you. Thank you so much for being here today. And until next time, I hope you have an amazing week.